Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me today, once again, to help me break down the latest episode of Lois and Clark, Superman and Lois, it's Vic.
Why you gotta steal my shtick? What's going on, man? Welcome back, everybody. Good to be here. Let's talk about some soups, dude.
Yeah, we get back into it with it. Well, before we start, we do want to let you know. Before we start, we do want to let you know we do our show live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. You can find the link in the description down below. We do that every Tuesday. This week we're talking Flash, as well as the season premiere of Moon Knight. So come by, check us out, and join the chat, and have some fun. Have some fun with us while you're looking down there. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, because that does help us out. And if you got any thoughts on what we've said here, please leave us a comment and let us know what you thought. And yeah, Vic, let's break it down.
Here we go. All right, this week's episode of Superman and Lois, because I got it right.
That's a first.
It is titled 30 Days and 30 Nights.
Yeah, because that's what happened.
And basically what this is in reference to is old Allie Alston gets sprung from the DOD, which apparently I would figure the Department of Defense would be much more secure than it is. Apparently all you need is one pass card to get through all of their security and to break out. Now, mind you, they do have an inside girl. What's his name's assistant, we find out, is fully vested in, apparently has been fully vested in everything that's been going on with Allie Alston from the get-go. I'm a little confused because, like, all of a sudden she's in the know and part of the program. So
apparently she believes enough in Anderson so much that she lets Allie go, and somehow they miraculously get by all the security in this base and make it back out to the dig site.
Yeah. Let's
just skip over the fact that, them trying to get out in the first place, because we just want to push the story along. Right. That way we can get over to Lana and the whole mayor thing, because that's more important.
Well, isn't that the woman that was being held in detention? Why is she just walking out? Nobody asked the question. Nobody.
Yeah.
But
nobody seemed to know.
They get back to the portal, and I wanted this brought me to another point. Like, this is the portal that Bizarro came through, right?
Correct.
And he had to dig his way out of that hole for like a week and a half before he hit the surface and challenged Superman. But they just walk down into that thing for like half a second, and there's this ginormous cavernous room with this giant blue portal that nobody has taken any kind of steps to even think about. Because if that portal was there and the DOD knew about it, there would be a full contingent, which technically there was, of military personnel guarding that place, because you don't know what's going to come through it. So they would have had like weapons, all kinds of stuff trained on that thing. It would have been like Stargate. Like, in Stargate, how they had they just built a dome around the entire thing, and they're like, nothing's coming in or out of this thing because we don't know what's on the other side. They take no precautions whatsoever, and it's not even that it's like unbelievable, but like, this is obviously, there's aliens, there's other beings from other worlds. But you're just going to be like, yeah, we'll just put 6 guards on this and call it a day.
And conveniently enough, the person that let Allie out also told her they've got a suit that will allow her to do it. They've been able to fix it up, because apparently they know what it takes to be able to get her through that portal without hurting her. Yeah. I don't know how they know what would be, how it would need to be done, but they figured it out.
And I'm not mistaken, that was Bizarro's suit, right? I'm pretty sure if you look at it, that was Bizarro's suit, because it was like the helmet was all like welded together, kind of.
Was it?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure that was Bizarro's suit. And if it was, I'm like,
And how'd y'all get how did they reclaim every piece and
Right.
put it back together? But she ends up going through, and as soon as she does, Clark wakes up. Well, I don't think he was really awake. I think he was just laying there. And
Yeah, they were having a
tells
conversation
Lois,
about how crazy
tells
things have been.
Lois that, and she senses something, and he tells her that it's something with her or whatever.
There's trouble at the mines.
So he flies to the mines, and the girl there says, it's too late. You won't be able to get through. You don't have the suit to get through. And instead of doing what Superman does and steps back and thinks about what needs to be done in order to get through, he says, screw it, and starts spinning around in a circle and goes through. And as he's going through, his tights start to peel away. His cape has got holes in it now. Very reminiscent to the look. Kind of reminded me of the Death of Superman cover, where it's kind of shredded. But I'll get to that point in a second. So he goes through. So he now is on the other side because he went against his normal, characteristic of thinking logically first before making such an important decision.
Yeah, you put a lot of credence in Superman's thought processes, I noticed.
Well, I mean, we've seen it before in other episodes where, somebody wants to go right in and he's like, wait,
we've also seen him do stupid, rash things as well. Like this isn't uncommon. Like when he's not thinking, he does silly things. But with that being said, I was just like, why does he have to go through all this hassle in order to fly through this thing? Like, literally, people walk up and it just lifts them up into it. Like, it's already sucking people in. Like, why does he have to do the whole, I'm going to fly around in circles and create a hurricane to fly my way through this thing?
I think his intention was to get fast enough to where he can get through that whole disintegrating part and kind of skip through it. So
those people went through it. Those people went through in a hazmat suit. They didn't go through in like a super containment suit or anything. And Superman is invulnerable. Bullets bounce off of him. Like, I understand his clothes getting ripped up, but it's not going to do anything to Superman.
We saw Bizarro. Bizarro had to do it, so you can only imagine.
Yeah, but Bizarro didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it's just the general logic of the way that they're doing. Like, it was just aggravating. But anyway, so he goes through and he disappears, and then we see the life after Superman, because it's 30 days and no one's seen hide nor hair of him. They don't know what's going on. Lois is obviously getting very worried because she's like, he never just doesn't communicate. But I'm like, he's in another world. You gotta kind of understand. Like, you didn't even believe that world existed until like 3 episodes ago. So
she's a little worried, but for the most part, I think she's holding it together simply because she knows. She knows that where he's at, and this could take a bit. The thing that I found interesting was we already know about Jordan and his powers, right? So we know we have a Superboy.
Right.
And then through this 30 days, we see a new Man of Steel. Well, with the fact that he's been gone, everybody thinks he's dead. These two are, cropping up, and they're helping. Albeit one of it people don't know about Jordan. It reminded me of what they did in the comics when Superman did die to the hands of Doomsday.
Well, that's where Steel comes from.
Yeah, and so it's almost like they're taking a little bit of that, which I kind of like that idea.
Which plays back into, they're going to put Doomsday in this early? They can't do this, but I guess they're going to. But then they're not. They're just going to steal some of the elements of it.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we're going to do Doomsday, and then we're going to have these people come in. Oh, we can't do Doomsday. Okay, well, we'll switch it, but we're going to keep the rest of this.
But in with keeping with John Henry Steel comes in, and they're like, where is she? Like, we see all these newscasts. Where is Superman? All these strategies are happening. Well, these people could have been saved. Why is Superman not here? Why has he forsaken thou? And as that starts getting really, really bad, we see John Henry Steel. There's a scene in almost every Superman anything. There's always a plane about to crash. all of these people are about to die, and the super, whether it be man, girl, boy, whatever, always comes in underneath of the ship, underneath the plane, and like boosts it back up and flies it into safety. It's literally the number one trope in Superman TV shows, I think. And of course, he does it. He comes in, he flies in, saves the day. So now they know who Steel is, and they're like, oh, there's another Superman in town. And I was like, no, there's a robot in town that has an S on his chest. And actually, he doesn't even have that, but still, whatever. So they acknowledge that Steel is around. I'm gonna kind of skip us into Steel's story just to get it over with real quick.
Okay.
He has just gone nosedive into work. He is trying to fill in for Superman. He's trying to help and protect where Superman would normally do. And in doing so, we find out that a special event has come up. And in this episode, his Lois died on that day. And he has been kind of ignoring it to try to ignore the pain of losing his wife. Meanwhile, his daughter is suffering because she's enduring the pain of losing her mother, and it puts a rift between the two of them because she's mad that he's trying to forget her while she's trying to remember her. And obviously it's a thing. I understand that, like, dropping the story in there, it makes sense for them to have to deal with this. But I was just like, man, she is just hardcore, not even trying to understand where he's coming from. But it's kind of shitty that he just like tried to ignore the whole situation.
And again, it's something I don't care about. The show is called Superman and Lois, and here we are talking about second tier characters on the show.
Well, you can't have nonstop Superman and Lois. You're gonna have second.
Yeah, you can actually. Remember the part we talked about where they didn't show how they got to the mines? They could have showed that.
That would have been boring. It would have been. It would have been poignant, but it would have just been like, okay, so they had that argument, but I don't know. Keep going.
But I digress. She starts out the morning making waffles.
Waffles.
And this girl is supposed to be smart, right? Like, she knows how to build all this tech and stuff, but she can't make a freaking waffle.
Dude, there are people who can't cook that can build skyscrapers.
Well, I tell you what,
you can't. I mean, if you can do it all, you can do it all. But I mean,
this was a legit waffle maker. You pour it in, you set the timer, you flip it over, and it does it for you, and you take it out. It's not that hard. I'm dumb, and I figured it out on the first try.
I don't know.
But she runs so many waffles.
To make a good waffle is an art form. You have to be good.
Yeah, trust me, I got it down. It's really easy. But I was a little disappointed because she wasted so much waffle batter.
Hold on, let me ask you a waffle related question.
Sure. We'll go to waffle talk here.
Do you
we need a little
make your waffles from scratch, or do you use a box recipe?
To be honest, I make whatever was in the hotel, whatever they have in the little cups.
I'm talking about at your house. Do you have a waffle maker in your home? Right
no,
now?
I don't have a waffle maker.
But
if I did, they would be from scratch. Or a box or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's not scratch. Scratch is like measuring out the flour, adding the cinnamon, the vanilla, all that stuff. That's scratch. But making it from a box is easy. She was trying to make her mother's special recipe from scratch. So she was trying to do something sweet and endearing about her mom, to remember her mom. I know you hate the family relatable things in these shows, but
no, I don't.
But sometimes they make sense to the story. The idea was that she was trying to make her mom's recipe. She can't.
I only dislike it. I only dislike it when they do things that seem to be like something that a family would do, and it's. But that's the point.
Not. But okay, let me put it that way. That's the point. So she's not good at making those waffles, right? Her dad walks in. He sees her trying to make those waffles. That's like a perfect time to be like, "Oh, let me help you make your mom's scratch waffles for in memory of her death day whatever. That just seems weird, but that's what it is. But like that's what she wanted. Like she wanted to try to do something special that involved all three of them, like her mom's memory and then them basically remembering her. And he just was like, "Yeah, I gotta go." And I understand why she was mad, but like when it comes down to it, and then it goes on throughout the entire episode. So they end up going at one point. He's talking to another woman, and she gets jealous and mad that he's flirting with her. And then she finally confronts him later on in the episode, and he's like, "I wasn't trying to, forget your mom. I could never forget your mom." Blah 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 blah. It goes into that whole thing.
Yeah, and it's like people deal with death differently.
It's true. It's completely
true. And so I
can but when you have a child, you have to deal with that child dealing with that death before you can deal with your own feelings of dealing with that death.
I can kind of understand her being a little upset, but at the same time,
not being nasty about it. That was my thing. I'm like, I get you're pissed, kid, but he lost her too, and you're both dealing with it in different ways. Though I do feel like he should have dealt with it with her, like before he had to come to the realization that like, oh crap, she's hurting too. But in the end,
I'm gonna defend him for a second, though, because he didn't even realize what day it was. He didn't realize it was that day.
Yes.
And half the time, I don't even realize what day it is, and I'm not. It doesn't have anything to do with.
I will tell you. The truth of the matter is, and one of the reasons why this is like a thing, like when it came to that point, like September 15th is when I lost my mom when I was 15, right? And now to this day, I don't even remember like around September, between like September 10th and like the 20th. I'm always in like a really like down mood, and I don't even realize it until after it's over. Like when I come out of that funk, I realize what it was that did it, because I didn't realize what the date is, and then I go, that's what it was. And it's just happened to me since I was 15 years old, and it's literally a thing. Like I could see him not remembering, not realizing what day it was, because he's living his life and they're going day by day. So in that same point, I do defend him on that too. But at that point, you also I didn't have an outside influence that would remind me what it was like he did. His kid was sitting right there and was trying to remind him of what was going on, and that's where he failed as a father. How dare you? But in the end, they sit down to, he makes her breakfast for dinner, the waffles. We're back to waffle talk. And they sit down and they watch videos of her mom and her and him being happy, and that's how they end that storyline. So, moving on.
Yes.
The other storyline you care nothing about. Let's get it out of the way as well. Lana runs, the vote is in. Lana is running for mayor, and at the same time, they're dealing with the husband, who I can't remember his name. We're going to call him Firefighter Man. Firefighter Man, it gets hurt because of what Corey was talking about earlier, and that's the fact that he got stuck in a fire, and Jordan came and saved him. So, like, off the start, we're like, here we go, this is going to be a problem, and I was like, and it's going to progress right into Sam, and damn sure enough it did.
Yeah, he figures out how to fly, at least.
I think he just he fell with style, a la Buzz Lightyear. I think he jumped really hard. I don't think he actually flew, because if you see how he kind of goes off, like he just jumped, and because he was Superboy, it just propelled him even further. So yeah, he was falling with style.
Yeah, so John Henry shows up and tells him to get out of here, so he takes off, and John Henry
steals all this glory.
Fire out. Yeah.
John Henry saved me.
So now he's got that under his belt, but his girlfriend is upset because he keeps being distant and ditching her, and so this sounds familiar.
However, one of the reasons that I ditched you was because I saved your freaking father's life that you're all apparently concerned about over everything else. Oh, kind of like Jonathan caring about his family over everything else? Like the fact that you ditched your mom during her campaign several times to go deal with your dad? Parallels.
Well, see, the thing of it is, yes, again, I have to, you have to take for granted these are teenagers and they over exaggerate their feelings, but she, I mean, come on, it's high school, and you're not always going to be available. Sometimes you're going to be susceptible to having to do things with your family.
Yeah,
And
but here's the biggest problem for her though is it's every time she asks him and he agrees, then he doesn't show up. So like if it was like, I have something else to do, I'm not going to be able to make it, it'd be a different story. But if like, oh no, I'll be there for sure, I'm looking forward to this, and then you ditch her, that's what she's pissed off about. So that part's understandable, but like, kid, get your shit together. You know you're not going to be able to like always uphold these things, so stop agreeing to them. Like that would be a good way to start. Just stop agreeing to doing all these things, and then you have a little bit of wiggle room. Like, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, but then when you do, you Gucci.
Yeah, so she's still trying to get her dad, and mom back together, but because of him being in the hospital. Yeah, I think so. She still wants to. It's real subtle. And because of the injury, she goes to see him, and turns out she sees that he's bleeding somehow out of a cut when they got because it wasn't even that bad when she took the bandage off. They end up having their talk, and he's like, somebody needs to tell him, that. You need to treat my daughter better or something like that. I don't know what
my daughter deserves. My daughter deserves more. My daughter deserves the best.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sentiment, but I mean, he doesn't really know anything, so to the viewer, it just comes off as stupid sounding.
It comes off as daddish.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
Like stereotypical daddish, not like it's good writing daddish.
So she goes back to Lana later, and it's like, look, he's down bad, and I think right now we should help him out, especially considering he just got injured during the fire,
right?
Was killed. But Lana says, you know what? No, because I don't want to send the wrong message.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand what she's saying.
I get that, but at the same time, the dude's injured, is sleeping on a mattress on the floor with nothing, and Lana doesn't care because she's so concerned about running for mayor.
He made that bed, and he's gonna have to lie in it.
I'm not saying that.
I mean, that's where it is.
I'm not saying that, but you could put down ground rules and like, look, you can come back and stay here until you're back on your feet again, but there ain't nothing gonna happen, so don't even attempt to try it. I'm not feeling that way no more.
It's a lot. It's a lot to have to explain to the general public who's going to start asking questions. Is what she's thinking. But
no, it's real easy. You go look. He was just in a fight. He was just badly.
He was doing his job defending our town. So of course I'm going to help him. He's family.
And because I have a heart, I'm going to make sure he gets back on his feet again, instead of passing judgment on others for actually having a heart. But I digress. She says no, and so he's still stuck there. She comes back later. The daughter comes back later to talk because now she's broken up with Jonathan.
Dude, let me tell you, the response that kid made when he's like, "Are you breaking up with me?" Like, it almost tugged at my heart a little bit. Like, it actually looked like it hurt him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's 15, he doesn't know anything about heartbreak, and he just found out what it feels like to have his heart ripped out. It acted like that reaction he gave was like, I actually felt that for him for a second.
Yeah, so they have their little moment, and then we fast forward later in the episode to election night, and they're about to announce the results. They get the call, and Lana does win.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise. But Jordan is not there,
and that's what sets her off.
And so yeah, and that's what sets her off. Actually, I think I had that reversed. She actually dumps him now,
right,
and then goes to see her dad later.
Right.
So
either way, so Lana is now the mayor of Smallville.
But hold on. The one thing I wanted to mention was she's mad because he wasn't there for her. But I'm like, What do you mean for you? This was your mom's night.
Right. That's what I was saying. Like, she ditched her mom like how many times that night?
Not to mention the fact that he walked in with his mom and his grandpa. So obviously they had a family thing. He came with them, so it was beyond his control. So why don't you pump the brakes just a little bit, shall we?
Not to mention the fact, like, his dad's been gone for an entire month.
Yeah, like, let's overlook that.
Maybe there's other things going on in this kid's life, but
let's
not rail on Samantha or whatever. Sarah, her name's Sarah. I'm mixing shows. Let's not rail on Sarah. Let's let her simmer over there in the corner a little bit, because she does end up going back to her dad's house, and she's like, I'm gonna stay with you for a little while since you're living in squalor. I brought all your stuff over here. I'm like, okay, so that happened. That gets us to Lois. Well, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about Lois. Because of what happened with Jordan. Jordan decides he's going to tell his mom ahead of time, because Jonathan's like, dude, don't let mom find out you did that. He's like, and if you, it's like, you need to tell her before she like finds out. So Jordan is sitting at the table like ready to tell Lois what happened, but Lois had already found out. So she comes in and she gets mad at him. I'm like, dude, he tries to be honest with you and you yell at him. He tries to keep you from worrying and you yell at him. He then tells you, like, I was sitting here ready to tell you what happened, and because you already found out, you can't take that away from him. He was trying to come off honest to you about what happened, and you just preempted him. That's not his fault, though. You can't be mad at him about that. Like, that's just wrong. Right. Like, I feel like she's just, like, I understand she's in, like, mama bear mode, but, like, chill out. The cub was trying to be honest. He was trying to tell you what was going on.
Yeah, he didn't even have the opportunity to do it.
Well, he did.
This is the first time he's literally seen her since it happened.
He definitely told her off, though, because he was just like, I'm the one with the superpowers. You can't tell me what to do. I was like, oh, kid, maybe you should back off that
because
just a
he
little bit.
mentioned...
I mean, that is your mom, and you're wrong there.
He also mentioned that
Grandpa
had been training him. So now she knows about that. She's not real happy about it, but...
that secret doesn't live long in that family.
No, they find out the investigation. They find one of the little inhalers, and so they were like, all right, we need to find out who it is that's supplying this. So they go to Jonathan, and he was like, you know, they're like, total immunity, don't have to worry about it. They'll be protected, yada, yada. So he brings his girlfriend over. She tells them. And then Jordan wants to be involved, and they're like, no, at first, but they're like, you know,
you're not gonna stop him. Like the kid can hear miles away, so if he hears something happening, he's gonna go.
Right.
At least if we have him with him, we can kind of control what he does. And they end up going to the facility that they found that off of the information that they got from the girlfriend. And
let me say, not very well protected outside.
No,
because they not only did they pull right up, but they walked over and she snaps off a couple pictures on her cell phone, just to find a guy walk up behind him. One guy.
Not one episode. Not one episode goes by where he doesn't do this.
What's that?
The dog.
So anyhow, they get taken inside and they're tied up. He tries to get out. And Lois tells him, "No, those are firemen's nuts. You're not going to be able to get out. You blah blah blah." And he's like, "How many times have you been tied up?"
She's like, "You don't want to know the answer to that question,"
which is funny. It's a funny joke, and but they realize if they don't have Jordan come in that they're going to be ended. So. They say something, he hears it, he comes in, he blasts the dude with a gun with his laser beams, and then freezes him and uppercuts him just like Sub-Zero.
Right.
And then another guy walks
up. Which is exactly, if you watch the video game he constantly plays, it's Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
And so it's like, Jesus, they're just like completely pulling that out. Like, I think that the polar breath would have probably killed that guy. Right off the bat, like that freezing, like, oh, you got the frost breath that causes like the ice around the body. That would have put him in that would have put him in a hypothermia. And
I was really disappointed he didn't shatter in a million pieces. for combat, but another
Fatality.
guy walks up. So then a second guy comes through and tries to use his laser beams at his eyeballs, and Jordan, everything goes in slow motion, so he's able to dodge it and then goes over.
He does
and
the flash slow-mo thing, like he just watches it happen. And I think they did that in Spider-Man too, didn't they? When he was fighting, and when he went to go punch him, he just kind of sidesteps and looks at his hand. Like,
I don't remember.
It's become a tropey thing. Yeah, it definitely happened. But yeah,
so he beats him up. Meanwhile, everybody else has run off. He frees the two of them, and then at the end of that's when they end up going to Lana's celebration.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting. Like when they're having the conversation, he's like, "We need to let him help us." He's like, "He's my son." I'm like, "Yeah, but he's got superpowers," and she's like, "Okay, Jordan, I need you to come in here and save us, but be careful." And like,
yeah. So after they get there, he mentions the grandpa does. Sorry, I forget his name. General Lane. He mentions that DOD is going in there, and so they're going to clean that up, basically, so that problem's solved. Then at the end of the episode, I don't think I've skipped anything here. Jordan is out on the front porch, and he's thinking about...
No, hold on. You did. Hold on. So while all this is going on, Jonathan is walking his girlfriend home. And as he starts getting his girlfriend home, he's like, and he like does the whole my head hurts, and she's like, he's like, I'm just 2 blocks away from home. Just go, I'll be fine. And he's like, okay.
I was waiting for something to happen to her.
Right, I really was too. I thought that like a car was going to drive up and grab her or something like that. But,
yeah.
So I was like, how did they find out already? But so he turns around and he walks off. Then they go back to the Kent farm where Dad, Grandpa, and Lois, Grandpa, and Jordan are at, and they're kind of talking, and he's telling them, about what's going on, and he's like, there's Jordan now, and she's like, that's not our Jordan.
No, Jordan was on.
That's not our Jonathan. That's not our Jonathan.
Jordan was on the front porch, and he was thinking about it, and Lana comes out. She's like,
Lois
I thought
comes
this
out.
was my thing.
Yeah.
Lois, yeah. She comes out and she's like, I thought this was my thing, and they start talking. He mentions that Sarah broke up with him, and then all of a sudden, Jonathan in a black jacket shows a leather jacket, and they're like, that's not our Jonathan. And if you remember back to the beginning of the season, I mentioned that there was some set pics released, and we had a feeling, because Vic had seen it as well too, where this was going to eventually end up going, and here we have it. This is the gear we saw him in the pictures. He starts to talk in reverse, but then fixes it and says that Superman was too late, and then we end the episode. So now we've got 2 Jonathans here on Earth.
You end the episode with Superman on the ground.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So we don't really know what happens. We're going to see it in the next episode, which will not be next week. It will be in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
set your
DVRs or TiVos.
These shows, and they're like chunky blocking of like taking them off air, bringing them back, taking them off, bringing them back. It gets annoying. It gets really annoying. But so we have to wait 3 weeks before our next episode.
So here's the thing, though. We've got 2 Jonathans on this Earth now, and now the Jonathan we know is probably going to be pushed back even further, and I wouldn't be surprised goes to the dark side because of it all too, because now they're leaning more towards this other Jonathan that's not him, and it's better than him. This Jonathan's better than him, and so he's going to feel useless, especially he's already been feeling useless to begin with. So I wouldn't be surprised that he ends up going to the dark side at some point.
My pushback on that is that the whole point, like if you meet your inverse self, you become a god, according to Ali Alston. But I think that because we already know that when Superman and Bizarro Superman got near each other, it increased their powers. I think that when inverse Jonathan meets current and meets real Jonathan, I think it might awaken some of Jonathan's powers and give him the ability to do a little something. But we'll see where it ends up going. It's going to be an interesting thing.
honestly, that would be better than the cliche of him turning dark.
Right.
But again, I'm saying it's going to be that because it is cliche, and it's not below them to do cliche things because they always do.
Right.
So that's good. That's it for this episode. I thought it was okay. I think the bit with him coming in at the end was a little bit better. I wouldn't say the best part of the episode, but it was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. I just have a problem. Because of everything that we saw in this episode and what we could have seen with Superman and what he's going through, I would have rather seen that than half the stuff that happened in this episode.
Here's my thing. But you're going to see it. You're going to see it in the.
I'm sure we will. But again, that just makes this a filler episode.
But you have to. I mean, they introduce a whole new character, so it's not exactly a filler. But
no, not entirely.
Like part of what again, the whole thing is like, so Jonathan just showed up there. Like, how did he get there? Did he fly through the portal? And if he flew through the portal, how come he didn't suffer any of the ill gains that happened to everybody else that flies through the portal? Because he looked perfectly smooth and clean in his gear. I mean,
continuity, Vic. Continuity.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just a little bit. Can we get a little bit? That's all I'm asking. No. A little bit of continuity makes a whole.
This is the CW universe. You do not have continuity. Just not a long time ago. So, that is going to end this video. We do want to thank you for watching. And on behalf of Vic...
That's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya!